You're watching a special edition of the Northern News Now News at 4. Live from the Vision Northland building. Only on Northern News Now.
The largest private investment in downtown Duluth's history. This is Essentia's new St. Mary's Medical Center, which after 4 years of construction has officially carved its spot into the city's skyline. And now Essentia is getting ready to welcome patients in the coming weeks. Good afternoon. I'm Kendall Jarboe.
And I'm Dan Wolf. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live on the rooftop garden of Essentia Health's new St. Mary's Medical Center. It is beautiful up here. We're surrounded by flower gardens everywhere you look, and of course incredible views of the lake and the city of Duluth. There's so much to talk about with this brand new building and also the state of healthcare all across our region.
That's right, Dan. Tonight we will take you on a tour of this massive new complex and also take a look at rural healthcare and how that has changed since the pandemic.
Yeah, first let's learn a bit more about this new building. It's been a long road to get to this point. Essentia broke ground, you'll remember, on the Vision Northland project in September 2019. By fall of 2020, they had the foundation complete. Then a little over 2 years after breaking ground, the structure was complete and they raised the final beam during a topping out ceremony in November 2021. It's 292 feet tall from the main entrance on 2nd Street, 340 feet tall from Superior Street. Now, the first tours were back in February when the hospital was finished. That's when we got our first look inside of it. Since then, they've been making last-minute preps to the 342 patient rooms and 16 operating rooms inside. And
we will get a complete look at the building operations in just a few minutes. But let's check in with meteorologist Hunter McCullough joining us from another portion of this gorgeous rooftop. Hunter, it is sunny and beautiful out here today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful afternoon here on top of the Vision Northland project. I don't know if the camera view does it justice, but just the pan across the whole lake, how high we are right now, and also a ship that's just about to come under the bridge as well. Now, that's going to be momentarily here in a little bit, but it's absolutely beautiful on top of the hill. The sun shines out, the water's clear. We're seeing a lot of people outside and hanging out, and it's a beautiful afternoon here on top of this magnificent structure, and definitely a wonderful day outside to be outdoors here into the rest of this afternoon. Although the drought monitor did recently get updated, we do have a couple areas that are in extreme drought, and that's along the South Shore right now, mainly over into Douglas County, over into Bayfield County as well. Currently a severe drought status here in Duluth, so especially in northwest Wisconsin, kind of starting to get bad. Now, this does not account for the rain that we did see yesterday. Current conditions out there, currently 75 on top of the hill, probably similar conditions on top of this building right here. We've got some mid to upper 70s off to our northwest, currently 72 into Hayward with mostly cloudy skies, and down here in Canal Park, currently 73 degrees. So we've got a lot more coming with Maine weather. We got some chances for rain later on this weekend, plus another look at the garden. There's a garden back here that's coming up here in just a little bit. For now, Kendall, Dan, back to you.
Thank you, Hunter. Essentia's legacy St. Mary's Hospital has reached the end of its useful life after more than 100 years of serving patients in the Northland.
And Northern News Now's Laura Lee sat down one-on-one with Essentia CEO Dr. David Herman to discuss the new building and how they're shaping the future for generations of caregivers.
Sitting in the heart of downtown Duluth is a new state-of-the-art, nearly 1 million square foot St. Mary's Medical Center.
This building was designed not to be what I would call a medical facility, but what I would call as a place of healing.
The design project started back in 2017. Roughly 6 years later, the brand new building is ready to welcome patients. But getting to this point came with challenges. The initial planning included many factors, from how big should it be to what type of hospital should it be. But one thing was certain: it needed to be part of downtown's skyline.
We have about 25,000 visitors that come to downtown Duluth each day because St. Mary's Medical Center. So we decided if we want to keep Duluth healthy, which keeps the Arrowhead healthy, we need to build here.
In September of 2019, they broke ground on the side of the hill. Leaders say construction came at a perfect time because just a few months later, The world shut down because of a global pandemic.
The first thing I did was text the governor and the governor's chief of staff, and it was a very nervous 40 minutes before I got a response back that said, no, the project should continue.
From supply chain issues to inflation, the final price tag came out to more than $900 million. The pandemic also forced the Essentia Health leadership team to make changes to its design.
Healthcare changed in the middle of the pandemic. So when we first designed the building, we said we're going to need 2 floors of critical care beds. We decided in the middle of the pandemic that we will need more than 2 floors of critical care beds.
Doubling its critical care beds from 64 to 128. The 340 patient room hospital offers birthing suites to advanced operating rooms with remote-in technology for doctors.
There are 36 different frit patterns in the glass of this building that keeps birds from hitting the building.
From the technology on the windows to the touchless keypad doors, nothing was overlooked.
There you go.
Changes in healthcare during the pandemic also impacted staffing, forcing difficult discussions on retaining and recruiting employees. Essentia Health leaders say it was important that caregivers, providers, nurses, and doctors were all given a voice in the hospital design.
This was designed by our care providers, for our care providers, to provide the best care they possibly can for our patients, their families, and all that we're privileged to serve.
And just like its legacy building,
everyone that comes here should come with a sense of hope and leave with a sense of well-being.
This new vision for healthcare hopes to serve the Northland and heal patients for generations to come.
The hospital's also going to serve the region as an educational partner for colleges to help grow the next generation of healthcare workers, assisting with both education and training.
And the new building will welcome its patients at the end of the month. And we're told the transition will only take 1 day. On July 30th, hospital leaders plan to move the nearly 300 patients through the Skywalk system. Planning with consultants took several years. The transition team says they have done several mock trainings to make sure this process is seamless and safe for everyone. And St. Mary's Medical Center gets ready to open. The Minnesota Nurses Association is still pushing for safe staffing.
In fact, MNA will have an informational picket tomorrow to voice their concerns before the hospital opens up to patients. The MNA's push for safe staffing has been going on for years. Back in September, you'll remember the MNA held the largest nursing strike in U.S. history to address workplace issues. More than 2,000 MNA nurses went on strike for 3 days, asking for better staffing, benefits, and wages. Now nurses are back to work, but still pushing for more support.
The Keeping the Nurses at the Bedside Act was introduced this past legislative session, but did not make it to the governor's desk. A compromise bill did pass, the Nurse and Patients Safety Act. It focuses on limiting violence in the hospital workplace, repaying student loans for nurses, and increasing payment for teaching nurses. MNA First Vice President Chris Rubesh says they will continue to push for safe staffing at the legislative level, but concerns still remain with the St. Mary's Medical Center.
We're excited to be able to have those facilities available for our patients, our community members. But obviously, I have some lingering concerns around staffing and the people power that actually give the health care to the patients.
Meanwhile, Essentia says conversations about staffing levels in the new hospital are ongoing.
They've been cordial, productive, and we're confident we're going to reach, come to an agreement that supports them and supports our patients.
Essentia says the MNA has been part of the staffing process since the contract was signed last year and will continue to be included in the decision-making process. And meanwhile, just down the road from here, St. Luke's Hospital has also been busy with expansions and new programs.
One of their biggest projects is phase 2 of their campus expansion, which is a $58 million, 82,000 square foot vertical expansion of that building. That created nearly 60 new private cardiac and intensive care unit hospital rooms. They're also transforming inpatient units into all private rooms and rebuilding the parking ramp. In November, St. Luke's completed a major remodel of its hospice and oncology unit. $5.2 million went to expanding the OB/GYN clinic, doubling its size. There are many more additions and renovations to space, technology, and services, including a surgery center in Moose Lake. And you can find a breakdown of St. Luke's projects on our website, northernnewsnow.com.
And while many medical resources are available to people in the Duluth area, that is not the case for everyone. So coming up after the break, we will take a look at the gaps still being felt in rural communities.
You're watching a special edition of the News at 4 with Kendall Jarboe, Dan Wolf, and weather with meteorologist Hunter McCullough on Northern News Now.
Welcome back to the rooftop of Essentia's brand new medical center. The Twin Ports overall is a medical hub for the Northland, serving as a center of critical care for communities all across our region.
People travel from near and far to access care. Northern News Now's Quinn Gorham shares how one single mother has had to go the extra mile for health care and what's being done to make her journey a little easier.
I was diagnosed with diabetes at age 12. They started me off as a type 2. But now I'm a type 1, which is insulin dependent. And with that comes chronic kidney disease.
Jana Reff is a single mother of 2 teenagers and a full-time resident of International Falls. A few months ago, Jana was at a doctor's visit when she received some life-altering news.
The doctor was like, "Oh, you're in kidney failure." And I was like, "What? What's kidney failure?" She's like, "Oh, stage 5. Your kidneys are functioning at about 10% right now."
Falls is more than 3 hours away from Duluth, the closest city for Jana to get specialized care.
I'm going to have to start doing dialysis treatment, which will be 3 times a week out of town in Evelyn, which is like a 2-hour drive for me.
Jana's friend Charity Alverson has been right by her side through the process. Alverson has helped set up a GoFundMe for Jana and her kids, raising thousands of dollars to help cover medical and travel costs.
It's been difficult sometimes, but I'm there for her absolutely as much as I can be.
The long and arduous journey to receive basic health care is a problem that's not uncommon in rural Minnesota, and one lawmakers in the state say they're aware of. Senator Grant Housechild says investments made in St. Paul this year were an attempt to tackle the issue.
One of them was for a medical database purchase for our critical access hospitals in the Northland. That would help them connect with some of these regional hospital systems to provide patient information and care and just increasing the quality that they provide.
Hospital leaders are also aware of the lack of access to critical care in rural parts of the state.
We know it's really hard for patients to drive. Let's just say they're driving from International Falls.
While emergency and special scenarios still see a lengthy commute, recent advancements in technology have made routine visits much more convenient.
If we can provide that care by telehealth and telemedicine, we're going to do it that way because it's better for patients and it gives them better access.
Fortunately, there appears to be a bipartisan push to get even more done.
I am working with the Democrats on this because obviously they have the power now, but I'm all in some way to help with this rural issue.
As for Jana, patience and optimism are key for now.
You got to look on the brighter side of things. I mean, I'm not dead. I'm still here, still living and breathing and taking care of my children.
Perseverance made easier by the presence and power of friendship.
Jana's like a sister to me and always will be. I mean, I got her.
She's stuck with me.
She knows I do.
She's literally been my rock. Like anything I need, Charity, she's a godsend, really.
In Duluth, Quinn Gorham, Northern News Now.
And you can find a link to Jana's GoFundMe on our website.
After the break, we're going to be joined by Essentia's Chief Medical Officer to talk about how healthcare changed since the pandemic. Stay with us.
Welcome back. We are joined now by Dr. Kevin Casey, Essentia's Chief Medical Officer. Dr. Casey, thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So obviously, COVID-19, the pandemic, has changed just about how we do everything. How have hospitals had to adjust?
Hospitals have had to adjust significantly. There hasn't been as much change in the medicine as much as the care. We recognize the need that shared rooms just don't work as well anymore. When you have a respiratory illness or a pandemic, that need to have private rooms so you don't spread diseases back and forth is incredibly important. Along the same lines, having separate elevators, as we will in this new facility, for patients versus visitors, having touchless doors, all those things help to keep our patients and our visitors safe. Even if they're here for other reasons, we know that they're at risk for becoming infected from things, and we just want to take care of them. We've also recognized the need that visitors and family members play. So we've had more spaces for them, opportunities for them to participate in the care of their loved ones.
Yeah, and as some of these COVID-19 restrictions ease, what are some of the things you want patients and people to know about as they access hospital resources?
That even though the restrictions might have eased, within the hospital there are people who are still truly ill and at risk. So if you feel as if you have an infection or you might be putting somebody at risk, please take that in consideration. Be respectful and considerate of the patients and the visitors that you see when we're here. We all want the same thing. We want our communities to be safe, receive high quality care, and we're asking all of the people who come visit us and participate in the healthcare to join us in that work.
Yeah, definitely interesting to see how everyone has adjusted to these changing times. Dr. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. Let's get a check-in now with the weather with meteorologist Hunter McCullough.
Yeah, it is a beautiful afternoon here, Kendall, and we are seeing some sunny skies, and not only that, but an awesome flower garden. Look behind me, there's all sorts of flowers, bees pollinating the flowers as well, and it's all over this rooftop. So it's a huge rooftop with a ton of different flowers. A lot of work went into putting all these in, and I don't know how they're going to water it and do all that stuff. There must be sprinklers in there or something, but I'm sure there's some way that they have figured out to irrigate this system. But it's absolutely beautiful up here right now. The sun is out, a light breeze around the region as well. Temperatures currently sitting into the 70s for most locations. We're also seeing some clouds that are decreasing, cumulus clouds that are starting to decrease as we speak. Some sunny skies off to our north, and here in Duluth, partly cloudy skies, a little bit more cloud coverage down into southern portions of the Northland. As we go into the next few hours or so, going into the overnight hours, early morning for tomorrow, seeing mostly clear skies to kick off our day, but then we'll see some chances for some showers and thunderstorms returning into the rest of the afternoon Friday into the evening, especially in the arrowhead of Minnesota, and then eventually over into northwest Wisconsin. Going into Saturday morning, once again, kind of copy and paste, starting off with mostly clear skies. Then eventually we're going to see this line of showers and even a couple thunderstorms rolling through by the early afternoon on Saturday to our northwest, reaching the Twin Ports around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then pushing off into northwest Wisconsin and moving through, clearing out as we go into early Sunday and looking at some calmer and much warmer weather into the rest of our week next week. Future rainfall, we could see possibly up to an inch depending on where those thunderstorms set up here into our Saturday afternoon. So general totals between 1/4 to 1/2 inch, but could be up to an inch if you do see a thunderstorm where you are. Future temperatures into the rest of our afternoon on Thursday. So again, we see these temperatures getting into the 70s and nearly 80 depending on where you are. If we go into tomorrow morning, temperatures in the 50s and 60s, warming up into our Friday, possibly near 80 down here by the lake, and some temperatures in the upper 70s inland, continuing to warm up even into Saturday. Starting off Saturday morning, temperatures in the 50s, even a couple 60s. Saturday, temperatures getting into the 80s, the low 80s in most locations, and continuing the warming trend into the rest of our forecast. Current temperatures out there, 75 on top of the hill. Same story down by the lake up on northern Minnesota, 77 currently in International Falls. A little bit cooler where there's still some clouds in Hayward and Ironwood, currently 72 over into Hayward. Current wind speeds, it is a little bit breezy on top of this building here, 14 miles per hour on top of the hill. Regional forecast for tomorrow, temperatures in the 70s and 80s, 79 on top of the hill, some 80s down to our south, some sunny skies at first, and then eventually seeing that chance for some showers and thunderstorms as well. Saturday will be our best opportunity for some showers and thunderstorms, a high of 77 over into the international border, down into northwest Wisconsin, a high of 80 degrees for our Friday, 80 into Saturday as well. The rest of the forecast, Saturday, a 60% chance for some showers and some thunderstorms. Then we go into next week, Wednesday, folks. Not my kind of temperatures, that high of 90 degrees, which we haven't had summer here in a while. We've had a lot of fall-like temperatures earlier this week, but it'll be nice for at least a little bit here. But come this time next Friday, I might be complaining a little bit. We'll just have to see what happens. But for now, there's much more to come here from this live show, and you can also stay tuned at 5 o'clock for the latest weather and the latest news as well. For now, we'll be right back, folks.
Welcome back to the gorgeous rooftop garden at Essentia's brand new hospital. Over the past several years, the hospital put out a call for local artwork to be featured inside its new space, and dozens of artists answered the call.
You can see the hundreds of pieces inside the new St. Mary's Medical Center. Ann Klefstad is one of the local artists chosen. Her piece, called The Three Realms, represents the sky, the water, and earth around us. She says she designed the piece specifically for the space, hoping it can help connect with a patient's journey inside Essentia. You can find her piece between the 6th and 7th floors.
And a fluffy face has returned to the halls of Essentia Health buildings, hoping to ease stress and melt worries away. This is Gunner. He is a therapy dog and ready to love anyone who needs it. Teresa Pearson and Gunner are a volunteer dog therapy team that visits patients and staff at the hospital. Sometimes those visits are quick passes down the hall, but other times they'll have one-on-ones with patients and their families. Gunner is heavy on the joy and pulls on the heartstrings of everyone he meets. Not only is he adorable, but Gunner is the first dog to return after the pandemic, and they are always looking for more volunteers.
For my money, one of the best parts of this entire facility.
I agree.
Yeah, we'll be right back.